noise. And then we're good to go.
Yeah, it is.
A safe assumption.
We good?
You begin.
Thank you for watching Two Guys Too Much TV.
I'm the new
I'm
guy.
both playing.
You gotta do all the work.
Exactly.
And I'm God.
We found God. Yeah, we lost Tiny, but we found God.
I try to be elusive. It doesn't work out, and then I end up in stuff like this.
That was such a fail on you.
No.
This is a YouTube channel show. This is so terrible. I should at least get prime time.
Well, I am God. You would think I could bend the media in my favor. But this is a start.
Oh, you got smokes.
It's bad for you.
Well, anyway, I am Oathblade, and this is our new co-host. Tiny kind of just bit the bullet and took off. I know I was updating, letting you guys know that he was going to be here, but well, he just wasn't.
I needed a spot in the media, so I took him.
Exactly. So anyway, being that this is going to be the new and improved You Guys Too Much TV on the HD camera.
Not sponsored by Pepsi. Ignore that. Yep. Or Camel. They didn't do anything for us either.
Fill his lungs with cancer. I mean, giving a guy cancer is one thing, but...
Uh-oh. Lawsuit.
Oh, shoot. Anyway, now that we have God, we're going to go more into a little bit of a gaming...
Now that we have God, we're going to church.
Never. Never again. It's blasphemy. Anyway, all of a sudden... But we are going to go into more of a video game, special effects, more of the nerdy, techie side. Not just, D&D and book reviews. So, we got God here to discuss Final Fantasy.
What do you want to discuss about it?
Just your views and opinions.
Which one?
Your favorite.
You can't do that. Because it's 2, 3, and 7.
So, we've got plenty of time. We're new and improved.
Alright.
Let's start with the bottom one and work our way up.
Well, actually, I was going to say, why don't we jump around? We're going to start with 3.
Okay.
I think 3, as popular as it was still a little underrated. It was the first game in which you had multiple teams for your party in an RPG, not just one set of 5. In some places you needed to use 3 separate parties. And they didn't just give you the bare minimum of characters you could use, you actually had characters left over after it was done. And for being the first game to actually use a multiple character system, that's above and beyond, especially since each different character still has their own part of the storyline. Be it small, like the boy in the field, Gaw, he only takes meat and then he becomes your friend. That's not a big storyline, I understand that, but at least they incorporated him in a way that is neat and interesting. His own special thing is he can capture abilities from the monsters, but only on the belt. So that's neat. And then they have the characters that are more mainline in the game, where the storyline actually stretches on a little more. Like every other character, God and Umara have the shortest storylines in that game. Because Umara is the Yeti you find in the cave, because of Mog. And he's like, oh, Mog is my friend, so I'm coming. Not much of a storyline there. Final Fantasy II. Well, it was shorter than the other Final Fantasies mostly, but it was direct. You knew where you were going at all times. It wasn't very confusing at all. It had insanely memorable characters. Cecil,
Rydia.
Kane, Rydia, and who doesn't like Rydia? Back when it was the only thing around that was the hot chick, essentially, of video games. There's something to think about.
It's true.
And then, of course, Edward, probably the most hated
Spoonie
video character.
Bard. Damn Spoonie Bard.
You know that I was reading on the internet the other day that you Spoonie Bard is actually the most known line from any Final Fantasy.
Because it's an insult.
It's a jovial insult. That's
Yeah.
what's weird about it. It's not one that's used when something horrible happens. It's one that's used when somebody steals your cookie.
Exactly.
Not, gets your daughter killed.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, the only...
That's interesting. And then there was Palom and Porom, probably some of my favorite mages, definitely. Like, I'd probably take them over Rosa.
Yeah, Rosa wasn't really much of a problem. No.
Well, in the original game, you had Rosa at the end, and she was a good character. But Palom and Porom together are awesome.
Twin ability, come on.
Not just that, you don't even need to use that after you get to a certain point with them. Just Porom and Palom actually scale better as far as magic goes and levels.
Yeah, they do.
I know a lot of ridiculous junk about these games. What stats you get per level up per character, things like that.
That's why we brought him here.
Spit numbers out.
What better nerdy thing than that? So any other parts on there?
I could jump around these three topics forever. Sabin was probably one of the coolest characters ever from 3. His input command was awesome. Every move he had in it was pretty good. Even Mantra, even though it wasn't used much, was a really decent move. Say that way.
What mantra do?
Heals your party, but takes life from you. Oh, Setzer. They even had a Gambler. Gambler was a serious problem in this game. But he won a lot, because he tricked people. His brother dies, and that entire sequence is cool, because you have to go through a mausoleum. And I'm into cryptic stuff.
Imagine that. God likes cryptic stuff.
Oh, and Final Fantasy VII. There's so much good about that game. It starts you in action, first off. The first thing you're doing is going to blow something up that's major and vital and obviously to the storyline of the game. They don't start you off in some crappy run through the forest and kill this to find out what you're doing sequence. They start you on an actual neat, and it's an actual neat area to start in. You get into the game because of it. Because when you have to run through a forest and kill 40 of this, it tells you, use a health potion when you're supposed to. For people that have played RPGs for a long time, that can get really frustrating. So I think it's better to start it in areas where there's action going on. Part of the storyline is already taking place. And it tells you what to do, but it's not... It's like the first fight, it'll say, use an item, use a potion, you do it once, that's it. They're like, okay, you understand the concept, we can move on. And then after you finish this small sequence of action for blowing up the reactor, you wind up in a group bent on destroying a governmental structure because of its ethics, which I think is relatable to most people. Who doesn't want to do something along those lines with politics? Oh. It advances into... cats. No. Okay. It advances anyway, and eventually you end up finding the president of this company dead. The president.
The president is dead. Always a good sign when the president's dead. So what about like
I need questions directed at me. I can't just go from the top of my head.
no problem. What about the actual fight sequences?
Well, it depends on the type of player you are, in my opinion. They have active and they have wait.
Let's go with active. You're in a...
You're a man
Yeah.
or a woman, and if you are one, you're awesome because you play video games.
Poor God, he's single too.
No. I have always and will always do that. Video games and chicks. I'm all for it. And not even for the online junk.
Yeah.
It's nice to run into a girl and talk to them about a video game.
Especially since it's an older one.
That's true. Unfortunately, most people that we talk to don't like to indulge in RPGs. It requires advanced thinking sometimes. And it's not button mashing.
It's true. Now, I've noticed the difference between Final Fantasy 2, 3, and 7 is that, you know, the fighting system was a lot different for 7. You got a lot more abilities that you had to kind of gain up on.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you have to take into account that the technology they were working with before that was nowhere near, not even on the same level at all as far as advancement goes.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the options of changing things around for 7 because things were different. You could hold more, there was more storage space, it moved from cartridges to discs, which is an insane jump as far as data storage goes. And
graphics were amazing for its time.
they're still amazing. I always prefer the bally fists and the people that are not exactly human. I think it gives an element to a game that should be there. I don't like the graphics of the newer games so much because you don't play games to feel like it's real. You play games to not feel like it's real. You play games to play the game, to have fun. You don't want to think of every decision as dire and consequential. It kind of subtracts from the whole thing that games are supposed to do for you. That's another thing that I like about those series, by the way, is they're not linear. In most of those games, you can go a lot of different places at one time. You don't always have to follow a linear path and go exactly where you're supposed to go. It gives you the option of exploring, going and doing something. If your characters aren't directed, you can feel like you're supposed to find out what to do.
And you also get incentives for exploring.
Yeah.
And it's not repetitive
You
like
can-
in WoW.
Run a different direction, hit a town, buy weapons that are far out of your league, and then it mattered that you did that. It makes it extremely easier, like much easier from that point on. But that's one other thing that I absolutely enjoyed about those games is after a certain point you can go anywhere and do anything you want to do. You don't have to do this, there's no time limit, you just go and explore what you want to explore. And there were a lot of different things you could do in all of those games, except for maybe 2. 2 didn't have that much on the side. I think it had maybe 4 or 5 side quests that were actually important. There's always fighting
There's Odin.
pink flans and trying to get another rat tail so you can get the second armor, or the best armor, the adamantine armor.
We're getting the imp summon.
And bomb. And Coctress. What?
Oh, God's been...
Confrontation. Didn't you just have one of those? I'm sorry.
Look at, she's like a deer in the headlights. Random person walking through.
Wow.
Oh, there she goes. Haha.
Someone just appeared. Jesus.
Huge trip when she comes back.
It's
Very funny though.
intermission. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's got the offspring.
I can cut this part out for the time being.